Hey, I'm Sean, one half of the Printy Brothers, and welcome back to our series where we 3D print and paint every monster in the Monster Manual. I've been touched by the heavens because today I will be painting the Angel. Last episode, Anthony painted the Aboleth, an epic underwater monster. This episode, we take to the skies. This angel model is from user Clinch Art on My Mini Factory. They release a themed collection of minis each month. Check them out in the description below. Not a sponsor, by the way. We're not sponsored at all, actually, so like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you want to support us. We really appreciate it. Now let's get to the paint job. Now I know what you're saying to yourself. Sean, angels aren't blue. Well, actually, they are. Well, some of them are. There are actually a few different variations of angels in the Monster Manual, which brings me to my point. This series is about painting every monster in the Monster Manual, but we're not going to be painting every single subcategory of monster. That would way overbloat our task here. So for example, there are 3 different variations of angels in the Monster Manual. I'm only going to be painting one, but while we're here, we'll talk about all 3. When I looked at the art in the Monster Manual, I really liked how the Planetar looked with his blue skin. Blue's my favorite color, so I decided to paint him blue. I also find that blue is just the easiest color to paint and the most fun. I've painted a few blue characters before, including Beast from Marvel Crisis Protocol, and that model actually ended up being one of my favorites that I've painted, and one that I'm most proud of. I'm curious for you guys, what color do you think is the easiest to paint, and what color do you think is the hardest? Like I said, blue is easiest for me by far, and I find that yellow is usually the hardest. So for my paint job here, I started with a dark shade of blue and then a blue wash to make it a little bit darker in the recesses. And then I slowly mix in a lighter shade of blue to that original shade that I based him with, and I start highlighting. Of course, making sure my paints are thinned as well. I could just as easily do this highlighting with dry brushing, but I find it's just more fun this way, and ultimately it looks better. So let's talk about the history of the angel. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That's the wrong angel. Angels, or at least the beings that would eventually become known as angels, first appeared in D&D in Dragon Magazine number 12 in 1978. 4 years after D&D's initial release, so they've pretty much been here from the very beginning. There are a ton of different angel variations in this book, all with their own unique stats, although the word angel never actually appears anywhere, except in the word archangel, which is one of the different variations. In 2nd edition D&D, they appear in an accessory to the Monster Manual in the Monstrous Compendium Outer Planes Appendix, where they are referred to as the Azamon. 4 years later, the Azamar first appear in another appendix as a playable race. Angels as an actual monster aren't actually called angels until 3.5 edition. Alright, enough about history, let's dive into lore surrounding angels. Angels are celestial agents of the gods, and they are also created by the gods. Their sole purpose is to carry out the will of whatever god they serve. They are immortal and have sublime beauty. It is said that their presence can drive amazed onlookers to their knees. Angels are pretty much always good aligned. An evil angel would just be a devil or a fallen angel, which we'll get to later. In the 5th edition Monster Manual, there are 3 different types of angels. Let's talk about all of them, starting with the Diva. I think that's how you say that. Divas typically live on either the Shadowfell, the Feywild, or our own material plane, and they typically take the form of someone who would live on one of those planes. They can pretty much look like anything. They're even described as having taken the form of animals sometimes as well. Divas can potentially live in disguise like this for years, discreetly giving aid to any in need. If you want to incorporate a diva into your game, I think it could be cool to have one of your players befriend one that's in disguise. They could be disguised as like a little innocent kid, or a cute animal companion that travels with the party. And leave little hints that they're more than they seem throughout the adventure. Then, when the party's at their lowest point in the campaign, have the diva transform into its true form and save the party from certain doom. Alright, let's talk about planetars. Planetars are basically just battering rams for the gods to aim at their problems. They have great powers and immense swords and tower over most humanoids. A lot less subtle than the diva, though they're not really trying to be. They're here to battle for their god. Now, they are described in the book as being hairless with green skin. My planetar that I'm painting has long hair with blue skin, but you know what, it's close enough. I just wanted to paint him blue, okay? The picture looks blue. He's blue. The last angel in the monster manual is the Solar, which is also the most powerful. It is said that a single arrow from a Solar's bow can kill a target on contact. It is believed that there are only 24 Solar in existence. A few are sworn to a specific god, while the rest are in a state of contemplation, waiting for the day to come when a god will call them to fight a celestial threat. Between these three angel types, I find that the diva is the most interesting by far. I would definitely prefer to have an angel that's in disguise that could later be a cool reveal, instead of an angel who's pretty much just a weapon implement for a god. Although, all three of them could certainly be interesting in a game. Tell me in the comments what angel you think sounds the coolest. And also let me know if you've used angels in your games before. Now there is one more type of angel, though it doesn't have a specific stat block. Angels are perfect beings, immaculate, infallible. What happens when they make a mistake? Whether it's an intentional mistake or an accident, an angel that commits an evil act is marked forever as an outcast, a fallen angel. Fallen angels still have all their powers, but their connection to the gods is no more. They are alone. Many fallen angels become simple hermits on the material plane and live an isolated existence. Others use their power for evil and seek to rule over sections of the abyss. Zariel, ruler of the first layer of the Nine Hells, also known as Avernus, is a fallen angel. You may have heard her mentioned in Baldur's Gate 3. I will certainly never forgive her for what she did to Karlach. You can incorporate a fallen angel into your games in a ton of different ways. They could be the big bad, or they could be a powerful ally to the party in need of redemption. There's really a ton of possibilities. Back to my paint job here. Earlier I said blue was the easiest color to paint and that yellow was the hardest. Well, I think white is a pretty close second for the hardest to paint. Over the years, I've found it best to not overcomplicate white. For this angel's wings, I just use a light gray as a base coat and then pure white to dry brush over it. Very simple, super easy, and I think that's all it really needs to look good. Now let's take a look at the final paint job. I'm pretty happy with how this guy came out. I spent most of my time making sure that his blue skin would look cool. Let me know what you think in the comments below. This was the third monster of this series. We're getting them done. Next episode, Anthony will be tackling animated objects, specifically animated armor. Subscribe if you want to see that. Thanks for watching.